Welcome back to the Word Traction podcast, everyone. It is Juneteenth, and nothing says a proud celebration like a cracker on a roof in northern Massachusetts, but it is a national holiday. It is one that we need to protect and celebrate because the fascists are still marching, and the white hooded crowd, when they're kind enough to take their red hats off, are also marching steadily as well. Juneteenth, that was, let's see, 1865, coincidentally, on June 19th, Galveston, Texas, a general or Major General Granger, sponsored by Granger for the ones that get it done. Um, General Granger, the recalcitrant bastards in Texas who want to do shit their own way, didn't want to have to bother to read the whole Emancipation Proclamation thing. So more than 2 years following that proclamation, Texas was still doing more racist shit, and continues to do it to this day in certain other ways. But General Granger, as the name might suggest, did get it done, and we marched forward. And then the like the pushback initially to get Dr. King's birthday properly recognized and celebrated with a national holiday. Juneteenth just came in under the auspices of one Joseph Biden. Wasn't it nice to see President Biden at the Obama Center yesterday with his wife? Could have done without the book, uh, and um, and George Bush the elder, and with his wife Laura, and Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, who did beat Donald Trump in the popular vote in 16, just for the record. But that doesn't have anything to do with Juneteenth. We are, Linda McMahon, the head of the Department of Education, and Trump and Stephen Miller and the other racists in the organization are chipping away as they do, that they try to avoid accountability for some of their worst racist shit by just operating behind the scenes and overwhelming the press and all of our attention spans by taking little bites out of the various programs. They don't ban all books that ever mention anything to do with Juneteenth or Dr. King's birthday or any other um, anything that could be in the African American legacy, pride, or other canon. They just disincentivize behavior, DEI, which is just the dog whistle for the Red Hat Brigade. That, just like saying waste, fraud, and abuse, it is to see which one of the red hats' eyes light up red, and that's like a sign that they share that they too have taken the red pill and are willing to do Donald Trump's bidding. And it's absolutely reprehensible. And so many of our elected representatives behave in that way, even the ones that were shit canned by Trump, primaried him, Cassidy Cornyn and others, that are still scared children because they want to be able to get paid. I understand they have to feed their families. They haven't stolen enough. Excuse the wind in the background, but I'm trying to talk more quickly today because the wind has come up rather strong and suddenly. Yeah, so these men that are on their way out of Senate and legislature want to be lobbyists and want to get paid. So they are not standing up bravely for their constituents and the American people and democracy more broadly. They're being the same, like John Thune, the most handsome coward in all of Washington, D.C. They just, they can't stand up for themselves. They can't check their own relative testosterone, whatever they have to do to find a little bravery to do the right thing. And that hasn't flipped yet. Are they waiting for the midterms? Are they waiting for? It doesn't matter. They're proving themselves to be absolute fucking cowards, and shouldn't be surprised, but we can be disappointed. So Juneteenth celebrations and even celebrations of Dr. King's uh, observed birthday in January. What they do is the neat little trick that Linda McMahon is doing. So much of the Department of Education's activity or the education, our public school education for our children, is on the state level and state and local level as it should be. But as a funding source, the big dog Department of Education under Linda McMahon, no joke, is and Ms. DeVos, Betsy DeVos before her, just no kidding. There's it's money, and it's funding for programs. We learned earlier this week that two important functions of the Department of Education are being removed from education, and the enforcement for racist shit that goes on in the Department of Education has been handed to Todd Blanche, a real terror, and things related to kids with disabilities and other related functions are being handed to RFK Jr., right? Because Linda's too busy, and they figure it's an effective way of stripping all the power away from the Department of Education is to splinter it, cast it to the various furthest reaches of government, and then hope that it dies of its own weight. Right? It's it is not a novel theory, but MAGA and Trump are doing it in triplicate at double time. But what they do, the neat little trick that they've been doing now, where they can communicate to governors, like Ron DeSantis, who is on the program with Trump, doesn't love Trump, but he doesn't have any other choice, and he's a fucking hostage and a coward as well. So the message comes down from Trump via the wrestling queen that we're not going to take away money if you teach too much about Juneteenth, Dr. King, or otherwise. We're not going to withhold money. It's going to stay level, but we are going to quadruple the amount of education funds you get if you teach this alternative theory of history, right? Which is patriotic white people doing patriotic white people things. And all the people that came over on boats were Christians. And the whole slavery thing, the real delightful part of this whole thing, is the neat little trick they're trying to do with the part of elementary education as it pertains to slavery. Is everything was great in this white Christian nationalist nation, and then out of nowhere, it's as if what happened that the slaves from Africa put themselves in bondage and then invaded the country, right? Plausible. They they shackled themselves, stole ships from the Columbus, now we have the Epstein class. This was from the Columbus class of white Christian nationalists. He's a little bit too Catholic for the rest of them, but whatever. and they brought themselves here, invaded our shores. And then, yeah, there might have been some indentured servitude thing going on, but it wasn't as dark as teachers try to make it out now. And by the way, that's going to make the white kids feel really, really bad about their ancestors if they are taught that their particular white Christian ancestors did anything that was contrary to the Bible. Right? So we're investigating further about how many of the Black African slaves invaded our country and why they chose to do it. We're not blaming them, but we just want a fair and balanced approach to education about what happened. We want, and can't we all just get along? Can't we start over with the good faith that's being shown by the Trump administration right now? We're trying really hard to get it right. You know, we haven't appointed a member of the Klan for ages to any position of authority. Donald Trump has even acknowledged, oh no, wait, he didn't yet, that his father was a member of the Klan. You know, but bygones be bygones, right? Let's all go forward as Chief Justice John Roberts would say. You know, we stop doing racist shit by stopping racist shit, right? Isn't that what he said in yeah, and that's how we got to Louisiana v. Calais, right? And and reapportionment and just all of the absolutely miserable, embarrassing, damaging, racist crap that's coming out of this term, and they ain't done. And I haven't even got to how they're being mean to the transgender children and their parents. Right? Tennessee is. I got another Tennessee episode. Tennessee, of course, this is not Juneteenth talk, but this is in the general the Rubicon that is crackers and honkies doing racist shit. If you just want to put that in a bundle, right? Tennessee is as if they want to be recognized as the most overtly racist state in the country. And they want to say to Trump, we're so anti-DEI, we're going to be mean to children with medical conditions just to prove that we love you, Donald J. Trump. They did another little, I'll cover this over the weekend, but they did this other little do-si-do the last couple of days where they are any, I'm going to say immigrant, any non-US citizen currently residing in the state of Tennessee who has a disabled child that is availing themselves of any emergency medical care received a letter that said you have to affirmatively disenroll in this Medicaid pertinent program, right? Or we're going to turn all of your names over to Stephen Miller, right? Now, by the virtue of disenrolling, are you doing that yourself? Essentially, what they're trying to do is they're trying to weaponize the existence of sick children of diverse families in order to scoop them up and meet a deportation quota. And these are kids with cancer and other life-threatening illnesses that now will no longer have treatment. So that's Tennessee again, covering themselves, smearing themselves in human excrement. And this is going to be a four-year run-up. Nashville was just awarded the Super Bowl in 2030. They don't nothing in Tennessee deserves any. They deserve no flowers. Now, people in Tennessee, there are people of good faith that live there, but their government is so outwardly racist and and red-headed evil that they need to feel the full force and fury of collective action. Are we going to be able to reverse the NFL's choice? It was unanimous too, but the owners tend to be similar. They all look like Bob Kraft, and not all of them were on Epstein Island, but they're sort of the same billionaire Epstein class, right? NFL owners generally. And are we going to be able to make enough noise early enough to say that you're unwelcome, because every company that's based in Tennessee, every cultural program, every educational grant, everything that is above and beyond that benefits the state of Tennessee economically or otherwise should be under tremendous scrutiny. It may not be this week, but take the House back, take the Senate, and start chipping away a little bit. They deserve to be outed, bright light, and punished for the absolutely unforgivable, cruel, racist things. They're Tennessee has allowed themselves to be, think of them as Stephen Miller's petri dish. So anytime he wants to experiment with a particularly vile, racist program, they're happy to participate. Right? So let's do whatever you can do. I'll be posting on it a whole bunch within this year, 3 years ahead of the Super Bowl in there in not I was going to say Memphis, in Music City, Nashville. Nice new stadium, nice people, Vanderbilt, good schools, University of Tennessee football doing well. Some good things. But when you got a bunch of Jethros and Klan members populating your state legislature and in Congress representing you on the federal level, then there have to be some costs for that kind of cruelty and evil anti-Christian behavior. So enough about that. That's Tennessee. That's another day. Let's just sign off by saying, however you are celebrating Juneteenth, then remember that this is a a day that will live in infamy because Texans, the Southern white Christian nationalists, refused the lawful order that was the Emancipation Proclamation. And this is the celebration of what some might call another Independence Day, right? So it was the first time that in all the states and territories that slavery was effectively wiped out. But between then and now, Jim Crow, and now voting rights, and now 27 other things that the Trump administration is doing that are just on their face racist and hateful. I mean, thank God for Pope Leo. He's standing up for DEI, for Catholic principles, and it's not all about Christians. I mean, the Muslims are standing up. Even all other religions can see what it is and give it a name, call it out, collective action, do what you can. But for today's purposes, we celebrate. We we give a helping hand to a neighbor. We try to be a better person ourselves and be more kind, inclusive, and work for a more, like I said, a more perfect union. Got a long way to go. This is not the 250th anniversary of shit. You know, you could argue quite really, you could argue convincingly that that the clock that started at the beginning of our nation, when there was more a closer semblance of equality, was in 1965, right? So we're just we're a nation that's really 60 years old, right? So, um, but again, for those that are celebrating, enjoy your day. Thank you, and we'll be back on tomorrow with Saturday stratagems of some sort. I'm gonna try and see if I can do this without messing it up.